All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time. I believe this is episode 14. Bringing a new character to you this week. His name is Robert Spiegel, and there he is. And my friend, he's in the military. He's in the cyber. He's a cyber warfare sergeant. Butchering that. We'll let him share a little bit, but we are in a fraternity together. Obviously, not still. That was many years ago, but we're still part of the fraternity. But we can get into that too. But first, I just want to, I don't know, can you give a little elevator pitch about yourself, Rob? Tell us what you do and who you are.
Yeah,
30 seconds.
yeah, definitely. Yep. So I'm a member of the Air Force. I've been in the Air Force now for 20 years. I'm a cybersecurity, cyber warfare officer. So I'm actually just was promoted to the rank of major. So that's pretty
Nice.
exciting. Do a whole promotion ceremony with my family
When was
and
this?
another. Just like a week ago. Just got the
Wow.
word. Yeah, it's
Can you
pretty
just
exciting.
can you just give a quick like rundown of like the bottom rank to major?
Yeah.
I
So I
don't
mean,
know, like
there's the enlisted ranks, and then there's the officer ranks. So enlist like all the officer ranks are higher than any of the enlisted ranks.
mm-hmm.
In the structure of things. So I was enlisted for 12 years before I became an officer. And then so now as an officer, the ranks go from lieutenant. There's second lieutenant, first lieutenant, captain, and then major. So that's where
Mm.
I'm at now. So I'm an 04. And then
To
after
the
that, you
fourth
have
level. Okay.
lieutenant colonel. Yeah. Then you have lieutenant colonel, colonel. Then you get in your general officer ranks. So like 1 star, 2 star,
Oh
or
wow.
yeah.
So you're two away from a star.
Um,
You're level four. You said it's the six of officer before you get to
yeah,
general
you get a star at 7.
at seven, and you're
Yeah,
at four.
but yeah, I don't have any admiration. But I don't really think I'm not trying to get a star.
How old are you?
38,
Same age.
38.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And if you were gonna go for the star, how long would that take from where you're at?
I mean, I think if you're just like okay, that doing the bare minimum time at each grade, I think I'd have to do 4 years as a major, 3 years as a lieutenant colonel, so that's 7 more years,
Hmm.
and then it's probably another 3 years as a colonel before you'd be eligible for promotion to a general. So I guess it's probably another 10 years,
Wow. So you'd be
which,
48.
yeah,
And
I
that's
guess
only
it's
the
very
first
doable.
star.
Yeah, right.
So you said you don't
most
want to
most
do that though.
people
Go ahead. What were you
most
saying?
people never. I mean, it's just I mean, that's a really high hurdle to like. It's setting the bar really high, and I just don't really think that I don't really see myself staying in the military for another 10 years. So
That's like the Cub Scout of military honors, the single
the
star.
The Cub Scout.
Yeah, like isn't the Cub Scout like or not the Cub Scout or Eagle Scout?
Okay, yeah, Eagle Scout. Yeah, definitely.
I
Yeah,
clearly
yeah.
didn't do Boy Scouts. Uh, that's cool. Okay, so if you want, what's the top 5 stars? Is the top
Four. Well, no, four. They
four?
they did have five-star generals during World War II, um, but we haven't had
Wow,
five stars
five sounds
in a
way
long
cooler than four.
time.
But
Yeah, I mean, like
okay,
5-star restaurant, 5-star hotel,
yeah. Can
five
you
star.
get once you get your first star, do the other ones come quicker, or is it like just as annoying to get the additional stars?
Uh, uh, I it's very political at that
Mm,
level. So I was just I was working for a 2-star general in our state recently, and that so I got to see a lot of the inside and how it worked. Um, and you also have to be very flexible and willing to just take positions, wherever they need you to go. So, um, if you like, because there's so few positions, you really have to move to where the work is and where those opportunities open up,
So,
and then
so
you
you
have to,
can't just become a two-star. There has to be an opening. Is that how it works?
yeah, exactly. Like I
Really?
think Congress limits how many general officers there can
Huh.
be in the military at any point in time. So,
So
yeah.
they only give out so many stars, and then it's up to people to fill
Hmm.
how many stars. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And so that's why it becomes political because the higher the stars, the fewer opportunities there are available. So that's why you don't want to get into it because it's political and annoying. It's not just like being
Oh
good at
yeah.
your job. It's like having to be
Right.
kind of cutthroat a
Oh yeah.
little bit.
Like all those are congressionally
Mm,
appointed too. Like they have to be
mm.
like signed off. They're not like presidential appointments, but they have to be congressionally approved. Every time you get another promotion at that level.
All right. So as a major, like now that you're a major, what can you do different than you could as the previous one, which I already forgot the name?
Captain.
Captain.
I
Captain's
can't.
pretty cool too.
There's nothing that I'm really doing that I couldn't do before.
Yeah.
I was already doing a lot of that work, and that's kind of why I was promoted because I was already working at that level.
Mm.
You know, but it's kind of in theory I should be able to take on more responsibility, which I think So we're actually standing up a new unit at work right now, a new cyber squadron, and it's adding 70 new jobs, cybersecurity jobs in the state. So I'm hoping that now with this promotion that I'll be able to have a key role in that new mission, that new unit.
So you're gonna oversee like 70 people.
Yeah,
How many would you say you oversee now?
um, like 20.
Mm. So this would be a
So
big step up in like how many people you're overseeing.
yeah, but more importantly, the mission. It's like more importantly how much impact I would have on
Mm.
the actual operations and the mission. So that's like the bigger ticket thing. So I told you last week I did the guest lecture at Rutgers,
Yeah.
um, at the comp sci department. So I'd actually because I've been to do all the recruiting that we need to do to build this new unit. I've been reaching out to universities and high schools and just trying to get in and get in front of students and find some sharp people that are interested in doing this type of work. So I actually uh, you know reached out to the computer science department of Rutgers Camden, and they said sure, come out, and they let me actually talk to one of their larger cybersecurity courses, and I had the whole class, the hour and 20 minute
Wow.
class, and I gave a full presentation about what it is to do cybersecurity in the military and for the Department of Defense, and talked about the missions, the work we do, the different work roles, why it's important, what are the emerging threats, how can they apply what they're learning in school to this line of work, and then did like a recruiting pitch at the very end, and it was pretty awesome. I ended up speaking for an hour and 15 minutes, which I timed myself prior. I mean, granted, I did get a lot of questions while I was there, but I ended up going for an hour and 15 minutes. And I didn't expect to go that long. I thought I'd only go for 45 minutes.
Mm.
Um, but then, and more impressively though, Bob, is the next night we had like an open house event on base, and two of the students that I had talked to the day prior showed up telling me that they were sold and they wanted to basically they wanted to go through and join our unit and get involved. So like it was like, holy crap,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
works.
it's pretty awesome to be that effective, which, you know, I it's gratifying to like, because we also worked on the presentation for like several days leading up to it and
Yeah.
rehearsed it several times. And but when it all comes together, when a plan all comes together and everything that you do works out, and then you see immediate results, that was a pretty awesome feeling.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
How did you get into the class? Like, did you have to like reach out to the professor, or did you reach out to the school and they like connected you?
Yeah, no, so well, because it's funny, we had tried reaching out through the career center and didn't really get anywhere with that. It wasn't
Hmm.
until I just reached out to the department head and just told him that I was a graduate from there and I was in that program and that I had some opportunities I wanted to share. And he put me in touch with the professor, and sure enough, we were there a few weeks later.
Wow.
And then, I got introduced all around, the department again, and got to, you know, meet the department chair and some of the other professors. And, it seems like it's sounded like when we left that, they were going to let us come back and do it again in the future too. So that was nice.
Pretty amazing. Definitely something a major would do.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I definitely think your career is firing on all circuits at this point. I got to ask though about the super secret mission that you're hiring 70 cybersecurity people for. What are they doing? What do they have to protect? What is this thing?
Oh man, that is like,
It seems pretty serious. 70 people is a lot of security people.
well, and so really one of the things that happened is they closed down uh, one of the tactical units in the state that called in airstrikes. That was basically their job, and they were very busy during the Afghanistan war. And since we've withdrawn from Afghanistan, those types of missions aren't really needed anymore. And as we look at what's going to probably happen next in warfare, it's going to be in cyber.
Hmm.
And that's really why we're growing so much in the cybersecurity field, is just because that's where our next fight is going to be. And that was actually one of the points that I was trying to drive home to the students, is this field is like it's emerging, it's incredibly critical, and the threats are real and out there right now. So it's really important that we get, our best and brightest into these fields and into this, these work roles, so that they can actually, you know, stop what could be the next Pearl Harbor in our country.
Now, isn't this um, what the FBI typically does, though? Like, why is the military involved, or like, how does the military involvement differ?
Well, because we have our own systems and our own equipment to also defend and protect, right? So,
Hmm.
yeah, the FBI should be, the FBI, NSA, they should be defending our borders and keeping all of our systems within the US secure, right? But they don't necessarily have the purview or the authorities to defend Air Force information systems or critical systems. If you consider satellite systems, command and control systems that we use for aircraft, that sort of stuff, they're not defending those systems from cyber attack. And that's what our job is.
Well, you would benefit from their intelligence, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. And the intelligence communities, they all share. Um, it's actually something that we learned after 9/11 was a lot of the intelligence communities didn't share. But yeah, that, especially in cybersecurity, because a cyber threat doesn't really, I guess, they their boundaries are a lot, you know, who they're going after and stuff. It's a lot broader, right? So it doesn't necessarily matter if it's FBI intelligence versus DoD intelligence. If they're trying to attack a U.S. target, they're going to go maybe after the softest target.
What's the softest target?
Just whatever's easiest to get into, right? Whatever is the most vulnerable.
So everybody needs their own intelligence. You don't necessarily need to work together with the FBI. It's just kind of like everybody should have their own intelligence
Well,
oversight to protect their systems.
well, I mean, but the intel piece, yes, like everybody still needs their own, because the one thing that is kind of what intel does for us is they help us as operators understand who might be targeting us and what that might look like. How would they possibly be trying to attack us? What might their signatures look like? That way we can more effectively defend against their attacks. Um, so yeah, I guess really there's a lot of people that are collecting intelligence, but then it's also putting that intelligence in a way that is digestible and understandable for the operator. So that's why, we'll still have our own team of intel working in our cyber unit, just so that they can actually make that intel understandable for us and how it's relevant to our mission.
So 70 people. It's a lot
Yep.
of people.
Yeah. And that's actually our second cyber unit in the state. So we've got another cyber unit with 70 people as well. So 140
Wow.
in the state of New Jersey that do
Oh, just in the
cybersecurity.
state. Just in the state.
Just in the state, yeah.
How many do you have like nationwide?
Well, um, I I couldn't answer that. I can tell
Super
you that
secret.
I, it's probably sensitive,
Yeah, fair.
but it's a lot more than that. It is a lot more than that.
Mm, thousands.
Um, I mean, I can give you an idea. Like, there's um, at least nine, eight, and eight. Uh, at least like 27 other just Air National Guard units that have cybersecurity missions. Um,
Wow.
and that's just Air National Guard. So that doesn't include your active duty and everything that they have. And they, you know, the thing about the one neat thing about the Air National Guard is the way that because we're a reserve force, for the most part, our people aren't actively running missions unless we're needed. Um, so what the plan is that they're going to have 3 reserve units activated at one time running missions, and it's going to rotate around. Um, but you can imagine that in the event that there was some sort of cyber war, that um, 3 units running missions at a time can quickly turn into 27 missions being ran at a time, because basically you just bring everybody in, and now you just, what is that, 9x your capabilities.
Yeah. It's good to have overhead. It's good to have some
Yeah,
backup. You never
exactly.
know when you're going to need the bandwidth. Same with
Right.
regular war, right? You need the bodies, even if you don't need them all
Yeah.
at one time.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Yep.
yeah, scary. Question for you. as the cyber warfare major of the Air Force, what's been keeping you up at night in general? You know.
Oh, I don't know, Bob. Finding qualified people to do this job, probably.
I
You
guess I
know,
just
it's
mean in terms of like dangers
yeah,
to like
I know. I
more
was trying to deflect.
existential. I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You don't have to give sensitive data, but
Um, I'll tell you, the one thing that we actually bring up in our talk is that we give that we're doing at the universities is just talking about industrial control systems and our dependency on them. These are the systems that control our power, our water, our energy, pipelines. You know, if it's basically it's industrial control systems are a mechanical interface with a computer system. And a lot of times these systems are made decades ago. The industrial control systems were made decades ago, and they're still interfacing with computers. Well, those legacy systems are now, you know, prone to being exploited because they've been vulnerable ever since, and they haven't been updated or patched, and they may not be able to be patched or fixed without taking down the system. That the disbursement system, the pipeline or the energy grid that it's supporting. Um, and if these systems are compromised, then it can cut off you know these these commodities or whatever critical service they provide, and basically disrupt our way of life. So that's the big concern right now. That's what we
yeah,
see,
pretty
and
easy
that's
to
what we're
screw us
training
up.
to actually be able to try to prevent. um,
Yeah. Anything to our main like water, electricity, all that stuff could mess everything
yeah,
up in a hot minute.
I mean, look, you imagine if you don't like the United States and you want to make it rough for people at home. You shut down our energy grid, you shut down our clean water, we'd have chaos here in a few days. Um, and there's no way that we would be able to respond to stuff that's going on the other side of the world while all that's going on the home front. So,
So how do you stay calm with all of that pressure? It's all on you, really, isn't it,
uh,
Mr. Major?
I don't know, Bob. That's I try not to think about that. I do what I can, right? You just try to.
Yeah.
There's definitely people paid more than me to worry about.
What do you think your edge is?
My edge to defending our grid. I
Yeah.
think right now it's just building relationships, to be honest with you.
Isn't that everything, right?
It is.
God
Because
damn.
the
Everything's
the part that's
relationships.
actually really tricky about this problem is that these energy grids and distribution systems are all privately owned. So we're actually working with partners in New Jersey to try to figure out how we can work with them, now and in the future, to defend those systems. So it's getting out there, sharing what it is that we can do, what we can provide, how we can help them. And it's just like that
Hmm.
educational piece, right? Hey, here's who we are. Here's what I can do for you. Hey, did you know that this is a serious concern? What are you doing about it? That it's that. And that's really like that's the start of it, right? It's
Hmm.
until people know that it's a problem that and that you build a little bit of trust and rapport that they're going to listen to you and not just say, hey, you know, get out of here. I don't have time for you.
You know,
That
it's
that's really that's what it comes down to.
it's so interesting. what you're describing is really politics, right? It's politics is all about making relationships and getting things done that wouldn't otherwise be able to be done without people liking you and forming those relationships. And maybe this is part of the journey where, as the major, you learn how to form these relationships. And maybe that's why people get so many stars for being political, because they've gotten
Yeah.
so good at forging these relationships. And maybe that is the ultimate thing. And we kind of shun it in some ways, like, oh, it's political, but like maybe that is really the most powerful thing that you can develop, is the ability to build trust with people, because otherwise it's so hard to get anything done, because things are just, there's so much against you. But when people like you, when you just talk to them, you put a name to a
Absolutely.
face, you can get so much done.
Well, well, think about it. I mean, you think about even some of the smartest people that you might know, and are they always the best at leading people? Like, they might have the right answer, they might know how to do something or fix something, but they just don't know how to get other
Mm,
people to join their cause, right?
totally.
Um, it's actually one of the, I think one of my favorite parts. Like, once you become a officer, they kind of, they try to drive home that you're a leader, and you're kind of a leader first. Before you're a cybersecurity professional, before you're anything else, you're a leader. And I really, we study that a lot while we're going through officer training school, and we talk about it a lot and what it means, and trying to quantify it. And but I think it is exactly that, though. It's having that ability to build relationships, um, and win people over, right, and get them to then join your cause. So yeah,
Organizing effort, right? Because one person can't really do anything, but multiple people together can, do crazy things. It's really
yeah,
it's an interesting thing getting older and kind of like taking on more responsibility and seeing what that really means in the real world. A lot of people can talk about it, but once you actually start having to do it, it really becomes clear, like you're saying, it's all about just knowing people, just like you got into that classroom, right? To see the students. It was about, hey,
yeah,
you talk to the department, you talk to the professor, like, hey, I graduated from here, right? You could trust
yeah,
me.
yeah.
um
And that's actually funny that I feel
yeah.
like that does go a long way in academia. Because I don't really work in academia, but having, or I'm not around it as much anymore. But I kind of realize, as I'm trying to get back into these classrooms and get into these things,
Mm.
like, those credentials matter to that, you know, to that group of people, right? They want to know where you went to school and what you got your degree in, and they want to know all those things, right? And I guess it's kind of the same thing for us in the military. It's like, yeah, what's your rank? Where'd you from? Where what job do you do? Why should I listen to you, right? Why is it what you have to say? How can I trust that it's accurate and that it's good information?
And you get a shortcut being in the military, right? So like for military people, talking to other military people, you got a nice little hierarchy shortcut. But in, outside for us
Absolutely.
civilians, we have to communicate that kind of authority or trust, even when you're outside of the military, right? And you're just dealing with the civilian world, you kind of got to communicate. They don't care about your rank, they don't care you're an officer. You got to communicate that confidence or that authority in a different way. You got to be able to build
Mm,
trust in all sorts of ways. And for you, like with Rutgers, that was being a student, right? That was kind of like you're saying, that was their thing. That was how they could build trust. And I think the reality is you just got to figure out for whom you're talking to, how do you speak to that person? How do you build trust with
yeah,
that person? And it is a
yeah,
challenge
absolutely.
for anybody, but that's something we can learn.
Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting.
It is
Um,
interesting.
it kind of reminds me of the book, How to Win Friends
Mm.
or How to
And
Win
influence
Friends
people.
and
Yeah.
Influence People, right?
Dale Carnegie.
I listened. I had that book on tape. Listened to it a long time ago. It's probably worth picking up again and listening to that again. Probably really relevant to the work that I'm doing now, um, in being more effective.
Yeah.
With these relationships that I need to build.
Yeah. Some good rules in there. I hear often the first understand before trying to be understood, right? Like we all want to be understood, but you got to shift the mentality and instead forget about what you want or what you think and listen first. And
Right.
it's so interesting how when you do the thing you want the other person to do first, then they will do it. Man, humans are so weird, right? We're just so strange, but there's little things that you can do and you can learn to make the whole process of socializing and getting things done easier. But you have to kind
Yeah.
of let go of like what you think it is in order to kind of see what it is, you know?
Right. Right. Yeah, for sure.
Well, sir,
I
it's
think what another one
what do you got?
about
Last
using.
word. Last word, we're wrapping up. Last
Okay.
point. I mean, we can talk about whatever it is, but
No, no. I was just thinking there was another point in there about using names, right? About using someone's name. I feel like that was one of the principles
oh,
as
one of the
well. Like,
principles. Oh
you know,
yeah. Yep. Use their
yeah,
name early and
it was
often or
about,
something.
like using the name right away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
a
definitely
good one.
I try to practice that one a lot. It's a hard, but it's also like I also have a really hard time remembering people's names when I first meet them.
Yeah.
Um, so that's it definitely helps with that, but you just have to like remember to like do it, be repetitive with it because it helps you just also remember the name, but then that whole concept like people like to hear their name, right?
Yeah, we definitely like to hear our name and have our name remembered, right? And it's anything, it's your name, but it could be anything that somebody remembers. I recommend, you have to be organized. And you have to remember to do it, which is hard to do. But you could take a little note on your phone and just write down after you have. I tried to do this when I first moved into this apartment building, and I was like writing, this 4C, Steve has a dog, and
Uh,
and I did it. I tried doing it at work too. I just didn't keep up with it. Um,
yeah,
but in theory, it's kind of a cool idea. But it's better if you remember. But if you make an
right.
authentic connection with somebody, maybe you just will remember, which is good.
It's easy, right? Yeah, yeah. You're right. Yeah,
I don't know.
sometimes it just comes easy. Yeah,
But yeah,
definitely.
and it comes back to that other one, which is just listening. The more you're listening to understand, the more you're actually gonna be able to connect and remember things. I don't know. I still don't know how to win friends and influence people. I'm still trying to figure it out. Uh, maybe it's
I'm
starting
sure
a
you're pretty good at
podcast. Maybe that's the.
it. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
right.
Hey man, this has been awesome. I feel bad cutting it short, but it's kind of a late night. Try and stick to the template. That was a pretty cool conversation. I learned a lot about what you do. Not enough. Would love to have you come back soon.
Yeah.
I don't know. Any parting words of wisdom? If you could say one last thing to the world ever, what would you say? I don't know, a piece of advice. I don't know. I'm still working on this whole.
Yeah, you know, treat your passwords like your underwear. Um, Change them often and keep them to yourself.
Yeah. What do you think about those like password managers?
You know what? I tried to stay away from them for a long, long time, and
Yeah.
I finally caved. And I just said, you know what? I was just tired of changing my passwords all the time because I'd forget them. Because I really would make them really hard, and then I would just forget them. And I just decided, you know what? These password managers, they can make a harder password than I can remember, and
Yeah.
it actually remembers it, and I don't have to constantly reset it. So I do it now, and
Thumbs up.
just let it make really complicated passwords for me. I don't know. Part of me is like still worried, like if somebody breaks my password manager, then like I'm really just in a bad place. But
No worse than having the same password for everything, which is functionally the same.
yeah, this is true. This is true.
It,
It's a good
and it's
point.
somewhere in the middle. Um,
Yeah,
Sir, this has been a majorly great podcast.
I like what you did there. Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, I'd love to do it again. We could talk
Cool.
about you know, more cybersecurity or some other stuff.
Cool.
Whenever we're in the mood for it.
It's gonna happen. Well, thank you, my friend.
All
See
right.
you very soon.
Yeah. Thanks,
Have a
Bob.
lovely week.
Talk to you soon. All right.
All
Have a
right.
good one.
See you, buddy.
Over and out.